Why would Ray wonder if you still love me?
I can't. I won't. Hi, Canada. I'm Sharon Case from The Young and the Restless, and I play a little-known character named Sharon Collins Newman, McAvoy, Rosales. Anyway, I have invited two Shadam superfans to join me today and ask me whatever they want. Boy, what have I gotten myself into? Anyway, I want to welcome from the podcast, The Chat, Alan and Dee, and hold on to your headsets because this is going to be fun and wild. I want to start off saying, I know what I love about Shadam, but I wanted to ask you, why do you think this pairing is so popular?
I love Shadam. I love the messiness of it. I love how there are two people that you probably shouldn't root to be together, but somehow you just find yourself rooting for them to be together because they're both been the underdog for so long. And you're just like, oh, I shouldn't want them together. I can think of 50,000 reasons why they shouldn't be together, but I want them together anyway. And so that's why I never give up hope that they will finally get together.
I'm honest, I didn't like Shadam the first go around. I didn't really feel it the first go around, but with you and Mark Russell, you have such great chemistry, and there's this whole Beauty and the Beast vibe.
What did you do to it?
Nothing.
Get out of here! Go!
That I love. And I remember from Mark Russell's first day on the show, you two had such amazing chemistry. Fire.
Well, thank you. Mark was perfectly cast for this role, don't you think?
Yes. Like the chemistry is amazing between the two of you. Like y'all just spark off of each other. And like you can just like feel it and it's just like believable. And it's just like, oh, it's Adam. And I know there's so many people that are like, oh, that Adam, he's done so many bad things. And then there's some people that are stupid that are like, oh, there's Sharon and she's done so many bad things. But the two of y'all together is just amazing. And I love it. I love it.
Well, I love all that about it too. I love that it's messy and that it's not the perfect couple. I also like what you said about them being the underdog. You know, it's nice to root for the underdog, and they've always been the underdog. You know, when we did Shadam the first go round years ago, it was a similar situation where no one in town in Genoa City wanted Sharon and Adam together for various reasons. And I like that lately in the storyline, we've been kind of cleaning that up, you know, because he's really helped Faith a lot. And so there's a lot less reason to hate him. And well, certainly for Faith and Nick, and hopefully everybody else will join in. But you know, they're still that underdog. And I like that too.
As far as like fans go, how receptive or I guess unreceptive have they been in your mentions on social media? Have they been respectful or disrespectful, some of the fans?
Some of they've been very respectful. You know, every now and then, of course, somebody comes along, and what always seems to happen is whenever some bizarre person comes on suddenly out of nowhere, no one's seen this before, and they're saying certain nasty things, there'll be like all of a sudden 3 or 4 different accounts all saying the same thing. And then I'll see other people tweet, oh, those are fake accounts, you know, just block those. And, you know, people who are on Twitter every day talking about the Young and the Restless, they notice things like that. They know who everybody else is. They know if you're a newcomer, they're welcoming you, but they can tell whether you're for real or not. So those are really the only bad comments I get. I mean, if I just get comments such as, I don't like Shadam or I don't want Sharon and Adam together, I don't consider that a bad comment. That's somebody's opinion. And I like to hear everybody's opinion. I think we all do. You know, certainly if, you know, the show is looking at or paying attention to fan comments, they're going to want to see everybody's opinion.
So some people say that Shadam is toxic, and they always complain about, oh, he saw Sharon's baby. So how do you respond to people who say that Shadam's toxic?
Well, everybody's toxic. You know, what couple hasn't been toxic at one point or another? And I agree with you and Dee. I see you guys sometimes commenting that, you know, if it weren't toxic, it might not be that exciting either. What do you want? The Disney Channel? I mean, I see that on Twitter a lot, and I agree with that. So, I mean, what really is toxic anyway? Are they really that? I mean, when I think of toxic, I think of something way worse than anything I've seen on a soap opera. That would be, you know, a relationship that shouldn't happen. No, I don't. I think that, you know, they're like any couple who they have their own controversy, their own history where bad things have happened. You know, Nick and Sharon, they've had a lot of problems. There's been a lot of cheating, and they've been through some very horrible things. You know, he tried to get custody of Faith from Sharon when she wasn't well, and that made her worse. I mean, I guess you could call that toxic too. I mean, whatever definition of toxic they're using, but everybody has that. I wouldn't say that that means that Sharon and Nick should never be together again. And I know the Schick fans wouldn't say that, because there's a lot of really great Schick fans out there.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the majority of your pairings. So, you know, I'm like, you have chemistry with the walls. So it's really easy to, you know, it's really easy to be like, you know what, Sharon is my queen, so I'll go along and you'll be my king for right now. But the one thing, I mean, the one thing that's been consistent is you have really great chemistry with everyone you're paired with, every single one.
Well, thanks. You know, they've hired a lot of really great actors for me to work with. And yeah, I really loved all the pairings as well, because I've liked all the people I've worked with. And the writers have given me so many great stories, dramas, relationships. So I'm very grateful for that. And thanks, Steve. That was a nice compliment.
Sharon is the queen.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks for saying that. I really appreciate that. I see those tweets and comments, and I'm really floored and humbled, and I'm just very grateful that people like Sharon enough to call her that. You know. Because there's been times in the past where Sharon went through some rough times, and there were, you know, a lot of fans that didn't like her that much. And I'm glad we've cleaned up. So to be called a queen after that, that's something I never would have thought would be put in front of my name or after it.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that, you know, there are some Sharon fans like me that, I'll be honest, and I've said it on every social platform, I don't care what Sharon does, that's still my girl, and I'm still gonna ride for her. I mean, they've had your character do so many things, and you played everything they put in front of you. Burn down the Newman Ranch. You're like, fine.
Oh my God, I don't know how I pulled that off. I wish they would rebuild it though. At the time when they had Sharon burn it down, I was sure that this wasn't forever. They were going to rebuild it. And that they haven't. Now I feel so bad, but thank you. I guess I did a pretty good job of burning that place down. And then Adam saved me, of course.
How do you feel about them not really playing Shadam for a while, but then they suddenly started playing you guys again, like baiting and switching the fans?
Well, you know, you're right. They started and stopped a few times. So because of that, I didn't know if they were going to get back to Shadam or not, but I'm so glad they did, because this recent arc we told was so great. I mean, it started with Ray getting poisoned and Sharon was in the hospital. And then Faith gets in an accident and Sharon's in the hospital, going to lose her daughter again. I thought, well, this is sort of revisiting the Cassie death storyline, which I also liked that we revisited that storyline again. It's such a big story, and it was a long time ago, and I was glad that we kind of redid that, because it's such a dramatic story to play. It was nice that they wrote that now this time with Faith. I was happy about that. And then, of course, Adam saves her. This has been a really great story drive. And now we end up that Faith has Adam's kidney, and I love that he said, you know, a part of me is going to be in her for the rest of our lives. And that was sort of saying we're always going to be connected, you know, for the rest of our lives. And so I loved that arc. And yeah, I guess I was a little surprised that this year we began that, but it started late last year. Adam finally found out about Sharon's cancer. Remember, we went months without him knowing even about her cancer. And, that was kind of frustrating for a while because I thought that that's not natural. But you know what it was? Because a large part of the Sharon's cancer story in the beginning was her not feeling comfortable talking to anybody about it. And she didn't want that news to get out. And of course, she didn't want Adam to know. She didn't want people to look at her differently. So it was a long time before he found out. And then, of course, the payoff was it was this big scene and big bomb Sharon drops on him, and that reconnected them. So I'm glad that from there, they kept Sharon and Adam in each other's universe. They did take a pause. We took a pause for a long time for, again, Sharon's cancer story. Sharon and Ray were together as a family. And then during that time, that was when they had brought Missy in and they were telling Shadam, for all the Shadam fans. I mean, Shadam, what am I saying? Chatham. I'm getting mixed up now. But they told the Chatham story for a while there. And then that switched, like I said, when Adam found out about Sharon's cancer, then started leaning towards Sharon and Adam again. But so I like that they've sort of mixed it up, though, they put one thing on pause. You're wondering why, but they're picking up something else. We've got fan clubs for Chatham and Shay and Chick. And so they sort of, shift it a little bit back and forth. But I do like now that Sharon and Adam seem to be steady in each other's universe.
Is there like an upcoming arc coming for Shadam? Are they going to be like friends? Is it going to be maybe more? Do we get to see y'all together? Because we want to see that chemistry on screen. Is it going to happen?
Oh, thanks. I'm glad our chemistry, reads on screen. I think that, great love stories are the great ones with a lot of chemistry are harder to come by, though there are a lot of really good love stories. I think that though people tune into soaps to find a lot of different kinds of drama. And that's what we try to give the audience, all different kinds of stories and drama. But I think the majority of people really want that big romance. And I think that, Sharon and Adam have seemed to speak to the audience that way. So going forward, will they continue? Now, I don't know advanced storyline, but I would have to think they would. Even if there was a pause, I have to think that they can't just drop it forever because Sharon and Adam are too much a part of each other's lives. And, and now Adam had that dream, which told him he needs to stay away from Sharon. But do you really think he's not going to show up at the coffee house looking for Sharon?
One of the things I love about them is the fact that they cannot stay away from each other. Like,
yes, they can't.
They can't. And it seems like the more that people tell Sharon and the more Sharon tells herself that she needs to stay away from Adam, the more Sharon is drawn to Adam. It's like the universe is like trying to make this happen.
You're right. The more people tell you not to do anything, the more some people want to do it. Or it's just the more people bring it up and tell her that's bad, that's just kind of always in her mind. So she's, I don't know, that it creates that interesting connection and that desire and interest in really this feeling that she can't get Adam out of her life. Now she hasn't decided for sure what to do about Adam and her marriage, but I think she's, at least in that regard, trying to be somewhat cautious. Adam's had Chelsea in his life. He's been engaged to her. Even though Adam's professed his love to Sharon so many times so beautifully, that's just not enough for her to know that he's totally ready to be with her and no one else, and that she's ready for that too. It's not, people don't walk away from engagements or weddings or marriages that easily. There's a lot to think about. And so I love that they're taking their time with that, actually.
Why do you think that Adam and Sharon can't get together? Why can't they be happy together as a couple?
Well, I think there's certain fear that not only is it a lot for him, he's got to break up his engagement and be certain this is where he wants to be is with Sharon, and Sharon needs to get a divorce. That's a lot for all that to happen. When those things happen, it affects your whole family, it affects your children. He's got Connor to think about. And though Faith and Adam now have seemed to amend their fences, but that's just a lot to do. So I think that they're taking it slow, but I think that their fear beyond all of the logistics is that they just want to know, or at least Sharon, probably Adam as well, they want to know that it's going to really work this time and it's going to stick and they're going to make it, because nobody wants to. They were married once before they divorced. Nobody wants to get married again, for it to not work again. They want to know if they're going to do that this is really endgame. And so maybe they're testing each other a little bit and taking their time with that to figure that out.
What would Adam have to do to convince Sharon that he is serious, that he really wants to be with her? What would he have to do?
Besides donate a kidney?
I mean, because like everything seems like it's so dramatic and it's like a big old, like everything with them is just above and beyond and over the top. So is there beyond the kidney, which I don't think there could be anything greater than a kidney, but I mean, like Sharon just seems like she's scared and she seems like she's waiting for a sign. And I don't know, maybe I'm interpreting this the wrong way. It seems like she would leave Ray, but she needs to know for sure. So I'm like, what would Adam have to do to just convince her that, yes, I am serious, let's do this?
That's such a good question. I don't know. Well, I mean, after the kidney, what could he do? Maybe it's not, maybe that, that was the grand gesture and that's been done. So maybe it doesn't come down to just a grand gesture. It's now going to not take him doing something more. He's professed his love over and over. They've shown that they're always there for each other. And he has, made this huge gesture and has shown in that how much he loves her and loves Faith. So I think that kind of brings them together closer as a family. I think once they start edging closer into each other's families and start feeling more like, when he's around my kids and I'm around his, this is feeling right, like this could work, everything's bonding together. I think it might actually take a progression like that rather than another grand gesture. That's my thinking in it. I mean, if I put myself in someone's shoes like that, you don't, when you get a divorce, you feel like a failure. And when you've had several divorces, my God, you really don't want to set yourself up for another. And Ray is this safe guy, although there's some issues there too. And I think that as the issues with Ray and Sharon start to become really visible to her, and Adam and her start bonding more together and their kids, maybe that's what it would take for them to feel confident. One of the things that Sharon and Adam have in common is they both suffer from a lot of guilt. Guilt from their past. They feel guilty about some of the decisions they've made. And I don't think that either of them try to make bad decisions. At the time, they think they're doing the right thing. But when they do something wrong, they have so much guilt and they're always willing to make sacrifices for their family. They have all of that in common. And that's possibly why, or at least part of the reason why they're such soulmates.
So Sharon, what are your dream storyline for Adam and Sharon?
That's hard to say. Where do they go from here? If they do get together, if they do, what is their story? Well, the first thing I would envision for this couple and this long waited getting together, if that ever happens, I would imagine firstly a big wedding. I mean, a royal wedding. This couple's and their fan club have waited so long to get back together. And though Sharon and Adam have both been married before, I don't see them going the small wedding route. I see a really royal wedding happening, and I love weddings. I loved the Shea wedding, by the way. That was very different. Obviously not a classical cathedral style, but just so beautiful. I guess you know, I'm the romantic type. So I see romance and a big wedding. What would they do after that? I don't know. We'll have to come up with something good. Did you guys have any ideas?
For a Shadam wedding? Oh, let me tell you. So I'm like, they can get married in Hawaii. They can get married on the beach. I see a big old like beach wedding, and Sharon in like this dress, just like all and all flowing and just like beautiful. I just need beautiful settings, like an actual location wedding. Like, can we go old school Y&R, just like old school? Because I feel like you deserve it because you're my queen. So obviously I want you to have a location wedding, but just something just big and just extravagant, and just, even if it's just the two of them, just over the top romantic. That's all I want. I just want some romance. That's it.
You know, I love that idea of a location wedding. That would be great. You know, we used to do more location shoots. Remember, we went to New Orleans with Sharon and Adam. Sharon and Nick had a romance story in Paris. It would be great to go on another location. And even if we didn't have any guests, you're right. If we just got really dressed up and got married in some old cathedral in Europe, something really amazing, that would be really romantic. I like your ideas.
Like Venice or Monaco or someplace with some history that's just super romantic.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on, Dee.
Sharon, what scenes did you submit for your Emmy reel? And I know you submitted because you had an amazing year.
Well, I submitted. I don't know why I submit. I never get nominated. I haven't been nominated in like 20 or more years. But I haven't submitted all those years, but the majority of them I did. And you're right, I had a big storyline last year. I had the cancer storyline, and you know, I was really grateful they wrote me such a big and important story. So I put together a reel of Sharon's illness, and I think it turned out pretty good, but other years I thought it turned out good too. So I don't know what to expect. We'll see. So this year I submitted a reel that starts out, if you remember, Sharon started this storyline in the doctor's office, and it was like time stood still and she could hear the clock ticking because it was so quiet in the room while she waited for the results, and we saw the clock ticking slowly. And I started the scene with that, and the doctor walks in and gives her the bad news. And then from there moved into some of the scenes of her talking to her kids and talking to Ray, and then the scene where she gets incredibly upset because it turned out that the cancer had returned or had spread to the lymph nodes. That one. And so it was about, I think the reels this year were like 12 or 15 minutes long.
I remember when you won your Emmy, a lot of people don't realize how long ago it was, but that you did win an Emmy. What was that experience like?
It was surreal. I couldn't believe I won. I hadn't been on the show for very long. This is going way back. So it was my first time competing in the supporting actor category, because prior to that I was in the younger category, and I was just so surprised. I didn't know what to say. And I hated getting on stage and having to give a speech. It's so nerve-wracking.
I remember the year that you won, you were wearing that beautiful pink gown.
Yeah, Mark, come in this way. He's still on the phone. I loved that dress because it was like a tutu. It kind of reminded me of a ballerina costume, and I just loved that. When I saw that, that was it for me. I'm going as a ballerina. Mom said I could dress up.
Well, didn't you do ballet?
Yeah, that was probably my attraction to it. I did ballet all my life, and tutus are probably one of my favorite things to wear. I can't pull it off anymore, but when I was a little girl, I was always had my tutu on. So I wore my tutu to the Emmys. And
you won the same year that Susan Lucci did.
Yeah, that is so exciting that, even if that's, it for me with the Emmys, it's nice to look back and know that that was a special year.